Welcome to the DQ Frenzy. Dylan Shields, Quinch Beetle, as always, where we got the chills, the vibes, and coldest to take. So weird time of the year for the NFL where there's some things happening in free agency, but for the most part, it's kind of the pre-draft little quietness of the league, but there's still some things to talk about.
The DQ Frenzy News. Don't question the hat or the WWE shirt. Well, guys, we got a lot to talk about. We last recorded actually last Thursday, and I apologize that the video took forever to come out, but it is out. But I have to give you guys some updates because our episode is so outdated in terms of certain topics. So I'm here, as always, to get you updated. We obviously got to talk about the obvious, and that is UConn hitting a game winner with 0.3 left against Duke. For them to come back from a 19-point deficit, all you had to do was either hold the ball and get fouled or call a timeout. And they did neither. Hell, Booster could have just chucked it up in the air and they still would have won the game. But he turns it over and UConn wins the game. And their freshman, of all people, hitting a shot from pretty much the logo to score against Duke. Just insane. It's one thing, too, for UConn to just win that game in general. But against Duke, of all teams, this is the second year in a row that Duke has choked this hard. They've learned nothing from the Houston choke. Everyone's saying that Arizona, Michigan's the de facto championship game. I kind of disagree with that. I think UConn or Illinois can beat either of these teams, but certainly should be a classic to watch.
Duke-UConn game, one of the best of recent memory of March Madness. I mean, buzzer beater ending. Crazy. So much for my pick of Duke going far, hoping they'd do well. But, I mean, they were doubted after the Michigan game, and it didn't look great for UConn. Sorry, UConn was doubted, and they came in, and, I mean, their physicality and just pace was just not matched by Duke. So, really impressive, exciting game.
And, of course, the women's March Madness, what did I tell you? All one seeds, all chalk. Now, UConn, South Carolina specifically should be a heck of a matchup, but it's usually like this every year. It's either one or two seeds that are in. When you want to talk about hilarious stories, of course the Cleveland Browns got to be at the top of the list. From Todd Monken apparently getting a haircut and missing the NFL coaches' photos, yes, that's a real story, to Jimmy Haslam completely backtracking out of his comments, at first saying it was a swing and a miss. Now he's saying, oh, they could win a Super Bowl with Deshaun because look at all these other quarterbacks coming back from adversity and bad seasons. Brother, do you know how Deshaun declined? You know, the accusations he had? How are you just going to completely ignore that and just blame the suspensions and injuries for his decline? They might not have a choice in terms of having to start Deshaun. And I understand you want to be hopeful for a Super Bowl, but Jimmy Haslam's been like this for years. It's no shock that he's this delusional. Also, Aaron Glenn thinks Geno Smith's going to take him to the promised land. To Arch Manning.
So we've had the owners' meetings. We've also had a few other bits of news come out. So the Seahawks and Patriots are going to be the next teams that are on Hard Knocks. The Steelers are going to decide on whether they're bringing Aaron Rodgers back before the draft, which is on the 23rd. Mendoza did very well at the combine, showed off some elite accuracy, and so he's probably going to be the number one pick if we didn't already think that. We have a record number of 9 games being played abroad this year in the NFL, so that's exciting, including the Australia game this year. There's also a new issue of ref strike. NFL is looking at hiring replacement refs on May 1st if the negotiations don't go well with current refs. So, and these new refs, you might ask, oh, well, where are they from? They're from Division 2 and 3 college. They're normal college refs, which, probably aren't terrible. Not quite used to the speed of the NFL, though, to be fair. Some retired high school officials, which isn't great. And a few former refs from the AAF and XFL. So, that'll be interesting to see what happens. There's been some very bad calls in the past, so it's interesting to see that is happening. I don't know. I don't mind new guys coming in and seeing what happens, but Doesn't hurt to have more reviewing capability. I mean, we're seeing that with the MLB this season with the challenger. Oh gosh, the pitchers being able to challenge strikes, which is great. Or just players in general. Anyway, the Super Bowl in 2029 will be back in Las Vegas. And there's an 18-game season discussed. There's no voting, but it's gaining popularity. How many weeks do we really need?
We got some major rule changes. We got the onside kick revolution, which allows teams to declare for onside kick at any point of the game rather than trailing in the fourth quarter. I don't know why that wasn't a thing to begin with. The big thing, though, is that there's a big possibility that we're going to get some replacement refs. And there's a contingency to that where there's a 1-year rule allowing the department to correct clear and obvious mistakes remotely. So no more Hail Marys or any of that stuff we had in 2012. I remember that season. As a kid, how awful they were. And as much as we hate the refs now, appreciate them because these replacement refs are going to be pretty brutal to watch. The final thing I wanted to talk about was just the opening week in MLB. Quinn and I touched on it in the episode, but we have already seen 94 calls from ABS in the first overall 47 games in the MLB. I think we also had a weird call. I don't know what team it involved that they said that someone missed first base and called him out even though he clearly wasn't. I think an umpire, one of them had like 7 calls changed off of ABS. They're exposing the bad umps. And I'll tell you what, Angel Hernandez was a smart man to get the hell out of there when he did because ABS would have a field day with him and his weird strike zones he used to have. Also, too, Italy's not in the World Cup for the 3rd straight year, so haha.
Other news, so that does it for NFL. Other news, Tiger Woods flipped his Range Rover on its side after trying to pass a truck, and he clipped the trailer. He was later arrested for a DUI in Juniper, Florida. It's weird seeing a all-time great athlete doing so poorly, but also Duke UConn game, one of the best of recent memory of March Madness. I mean, the buzzer beater ending, crazy. So much for my pick of Duke going far, hoping they'd do well. But, I mean, they were doubted after the Michigan game, and it didn't look great for UConn. Sorry, UConn was doubted, and they came in and, I mean, their physicality and just pace was just not matched by Duke. So, really impressive, exciting game, and go Birds.
We got some major rule changes. We got the onside kick revolution, which allows teams to declare for onside kick at any point of the game rather than trailing in the fourth quarter. I don't know why that wasn't a thing to begin with. The big thing, though, is that there's a big possibility that we're going to get some replacement refs. And there's a contingency to that where there's a 1-year rule allowing the department to correct clear and obvious mistakes remotely. So no more Hail Marys. I remember that season as a kid, how awful they were. And as much as we hate the refs now, appreciate them because these replacement refs are going to be pretty brutal to watch.
Other news, Tiger Woods flipped his Range Rover on its side after trying to pass a truck, and he clipped the trailer. He was later arrested for a DUI in Juniper, Florida. It's weird seeing a all-time great doing so poorly.
The final thing I wanted to talk about was just the opening week in MLB. Quinn and I touched on it in the episode, but we have already seen 94 calls from ABS in the first overall 47 games in the MLB. I think we also had a weird call. I don't know what team it involved that they said that someone missed first base and called him out even though he clearly wasn't. I think an umpire, one of them had like 7 calls changed off of ABS. They're exposing the bad umps. And I'll tell you what, Angel Hernandez was a smart man to get the hell out of there when he did because ABS would have a field day with him and his weird strike zones he used to have. Also, too, Italy's not in the World Cup for the 3rd straight year, so haha. The Seattle Seahawks made Jackson Smith-Njigba, say it with me, everyone,
the highest paid wide receiver in NFL history because the market is always
Overpaid.
set that way. Quinn, you're supposed to follow along with me there. But
Sorry.
yes,
Overpaid!
Okay, that might be pushing it. But yes, and this felt inevitable. They were going to do this, especially for the fact that they got rid of Kenneth Walker. But this JSN news makes it pretty apparent for another certain receiver in the NFC West, in Puka Nacua, that has not gotten extended yet. And now we are hearing, I cannot believe I'm saying these words, but he has been accused of biting someone. These are just accusations, but I think there was legit evidence of the bite mark. There are like legit pictures of it, of the extension that he probably was going to get pretty soon because of JSN now getting paid. And maybe Seattle doing the right thing too, because that way they didn't wait for Puka to get paid. They paid him and saved some money. But Quinn, in terms of possibly the two best receivers in the league, or at least two of, I'd say, top five receivers in the league, what's your reaction to both these crazy news?
I'll start with Puka because it's just like he's just unhinged. Like I didn't think we'd have another Antonio Brown this soon in the league. I guess not.
Yeah.
Brown didn't lead that long ago, but we got a new one. Congratulations, Seattle Seahawks fans. You may talk to your local Steelers fans about how to deal with the trauma of having a strange wide receiver, and he didn't even
Call
have that one
1-800
get
call
concussed.
1-800 CTE if you want advice.
Yeah, like I mean, at least Brown was like somewhat sane for maybe 5 years or something. Anyway, yeah, have fun with that. I heard there was rumors around the Eagles and AJ Brown that the Rams, Patriots, and maybe Chargers were talking about trading for Brown, and people are like, "Why would the Rams trade for AJ Brown? They Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams." And somebody's like, "Well, maybe they want somebody who isn't a complete nut job." I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, great. More crazy wide receivers. And yeah, I mean, Jason got paid a lot. I mean, this was his first like full year being the number one wide receiver. I mean, he did well certainly this year, but I mean, so this year he got 1,793 receiving yards, 10 touchdowns. Year before he got 1,130 yards, 6 touchdowns. And DK Metcalf was still in the Seahawks there, but I think DK started to decline a little bit. And then in his rookie year, JSN got 682 yards. He was and 4 touchdowns. He was like the third receiver after Lockett, kind of. I mean, it's great, but it feels like a little soon to pay him so much. Like, yeah, he was really good last year, but like, what about like more years of consistency? Even 2 is, I can understand 2, but that's a lot of money for one really good year and one good year. So I think it's a little early personally, but the Seahawks were talking about selling their team. I don't remember if they actually sold or not yet. But that's a
Well,
lot of money.
I believe they're up for sale, and we just don't know who's gonna get it yet. That's
Yeah.
where I gotta disagree with you though about JSN, because we didn't say the same thing about Jamar Chase when he broke out in his second year with Joe Burrow. And this is kind of similar. I think he absolutely deserves the money. I think they made the right decision if it was like oh, do we keep him or Kenneth? Like, of course you keep JSN. He was the best receiver, not the best receiver outside of Puka in football. It just makes complete and total sense for all the guys Seattle lost. He was the one guy they needed to absolutely keep. And I just feel like he needed to get off the DK Metcalf shekels to improve his game. And now that he has the freedom for himself, we saw what he did last year. He was a key component in their Super Bowl. And in terms of Puka, man, when he is not a weird head case, he probably is the best receiver in football. People argued he did better than JSN last year, despite them not reaching the Super Bowl. And while I don't think what he's doing yet is nearly as egregious as, walking away from a crash that you started, a certain Chiefs receiver did, or what Deshaun Watson did, or like you said, what AB did. we're kind of getting to that territory where we're worried that some weird, even worse news is going to break out in the future that's going to really affect his career. I don't think he's going to get in trouble from this that much because it's the NFL, but it's something to keep an eye on for the next couple seasons if something's going to happen, because this is just from the Semitic comments on the live stream to the recent ones and to this. He needs to just relax. I don't know if McVay has to get in his head or whatever, but play football, man. You could be a likable, odd personality, but please stay out of the legal stuff. Receivers, man. All right, on to more NFL office news. Of course, Quinn and I said this like in the past. No talks about the tuck rule being changed, or not the tuck rule, the tush push being changed. Wonder why. Onside kick overhaul. This is the big one. There's a proposal to permit teams to declare an onside kick at any time during the game rather than the last couple minutes of the game in the last quarter. We don't know where that goes, but that's just a proposal. The Browns proposed a resolution to allow draft picks to be traded up to 5 seasons in the future, which extends the 3-year limit, which I think is just nuts. And of course, Cleveland would be the team to do that because all they care about is rebuilding. They've been doing it for 20 damn years. And there's an officiated safety net. We don't care much about officials. Sorry, refs. This isn't as big of news, but have to acknowledge it. A 1-year proposal allowing the office to correct clear and obvious misses if there's a work stoppage with the Referees Association, which I think their negotiations with the CBA are pretty tense right now. So I hope we don't have another year for placement refs. That's all I'll say. They better get these contracts done because that was a disaster. And the MLB is already going to have a lockout probably next year. Fun contract negotiations. But the Fanatics Flag Football Classic is really what I want to talk about because you want to talk about just headline news. You know you're desperate, but that's what we got to talk about. But interestingly, Quinn, the NFL guys got absolutely smashed by the flag football players. It was headlined by Brady, Burrow, and Hurts as the quarterbacks. I think OBJ made like a really cool catch during the game. Stephon Diggs was in it. And Brady looked good, but they got crushed 39-16. And with the 2028 Olympics coming up and flag football being implemented for the first time, this makes you put into question, is it worth putting NFL guys in the Olympics or not? Because I've heard this from other podcasts that flag football players are a little bit different the way they play. They have to be a little more shifty. When they make cuts, they go a little bit lower to the ground to avoid getting pulled with the flag. There's a different strategy with how you run and how you move, which NFL receivers really don't do that. You don't see them going that low to the ground when they cut or move around. So it definitely puts into perspective. But Quinn, what are your thoughts about that?
Well, first I'll mention the rule changes in the sense of the Cleveland Browns have restructured Myles Garrett's contract a bit. So forget the specifics here, but basically they moved some cash down the line so that they can create, if they trade him now, they don't have to pay extra cash. And then, of course, they submitted this rule change of, hey, more first round picks. So some were speculating that they're going to try and trade Myles Garrett again. I don't know what's going on, but interesting to say the least. And yeah, there's definitely some different nuance in flag football. Like Dylan was saying, it's a little kind of different structure. But I mean, what other players do we have for flag football? You know, like the whole point of putting flag football in the Olympics is because people like football, American football. So like, if you don't actually have NFL players playing in the Olympics, then it's kind of like, why are we here for flag football? I guess there's other leagues of like flag football players, but like when you're watching the Olympics, people from all over the world don't want to watch random dude play football. They want to see
You,
Tom
me,
Brady. Yeah, they're gonna be like, yeah, you know what, these guys, yeah, but yeah, they want to see the stars. They want to see the superstars, even if it's not the best action and that it could be a football. It's still football, and they don't care about the flags. They care about the ball flying down the field and crazy catches that like OBJ made and everything. So I think you're definitely right that they're not quite. It's not quite perfect for NFL players that tackle each other, but they're not gonna like. They have to have NFL stars because otherwise, no one cares really.
I think a perfect balance of flag players but NFL stars would be perfect. Like try to get like a Brady or a Burrow or a famous quarterback on there. Get like a couple of guys that the general public will know, but mix it up with some flag football players that'll help you win. I think that would be a general good mix. And I'm excited for it because flag football I think is more fun to watch than people think, especially for the fact that people are now saying that Tom Brady might consider coming back, which I still think it's nuts. I understand Michael Jordan did that like twice back in the day, came out of retirement. Some NFL players have done it in the past. Philip Rivers did it, but I just I don't believe it. I'll believe it when I see it in terms of the Brady stuff. Uh Final things I want to talk about in terms of the NFL. Travis Kelsey signed a 3-year, $54.7 million extension, but take that with a grain of salt because the contract is heavily structured with a bunch of incentives and void years. It's a year-to-year arrangement, basically. So that way they could save up money if he decides to retire after each season, which I think is kind of a smart thing. I think we kind of knew he was going to get extended and stay for another year. He didn't want to go out after the Eagles blowout. He doesn't want to go out after this. I'm afraid the man's body's just going to keep breaking, and he's not going to stop till he wins the Super Bowl. Which, who knows if the Chiefs will get close to that again? So, but makes sense. Other free agency moves. Your Eagles made a trade with the Falcons, which they acquired Sidney Brown and 2 draft picks from them. The Giants overhauled their unit. They signed long snapper Zach Trinner. I cannot believe Google Gemini has that as a headline, but sure. And defensive lineman Sam Roberts this week. And the Raiders named Mike Sullivan. This is important because he was a Steelers guy as their new quarterback coach, and he was a really good quarterback coach. So I like that. Seems like he's going to mentor Mendoza. In terms of these other kind of minor moves, Quinn, any of those stand out to you?
Well, I will mention for the Eagles news more interesting stuff. I don't know if we mentioned this last episode or not. I don't remember. But Eagles got Hollywood Brown from the Chiefs. We
That's
also
right.
signed Elijah Moore. He is the best friend of AJ Brown. So there's been a lot of talk about
funny.
like Schrager saying, maybe not Schrager, but someone equivalent to Schrager saying like AJ Brown will be traded, and yeah, no, well, I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Eagles also re-signed Fred Johnson, our one of our tackles. That's not as big, but I think it's interesting. The Eagles signing all these wide receivers. I mean, we have AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, now Hollywood Brown, Elijah Moore. We also have a guy that we drafted as a rookie, Johnny Wilson, big tall guy, got touchdown last year. We also have another guy. I think it's Darius Cooper. Definitely, last name was definitely Cooper, but he was kind of a breakout in the preseason games. But the Eagles have a lot of wide receivers, So we made a lot more. Eagles have made more signings this year than last year, so that's good, interesting. Be fun to see what happens, especially in training camps. Also, the Eagles center and left tackle, right tackle last year were both injured and playing hurt. Our center Cam Jurgens said he had like a I forget, irritated disc or something that like before the playoffs broke off and wrapped around some other parts, so he was playing hurt. So Eagles offensive line bad, but for good reason.
Oh, and you also signed Andy Dalton. So bye Tanner McKee.
maybe we'll have a third string quarterback. We don't have a third stringer right now, but yeah, we're thinking kind of Tanner McKee was gonna get traded sometime in the off season. I mean, I like Tanner McKee, but I kind of want him to have a
Seems
chance.
like everyone does.
Getting starting reps, so yeah. There was some talk about trading him to the Jets, but obviously we didn't. So I don't know. This is also a terrible offseason for quarterbacks. So maybe we'll just wait, and then somebody won't draft someone, or they'll be like, oh shoot, even the somewhat bad quarterbacks are gone. Who are we gonna have now?
What you're
It's a
telling
good
me?
planner.
You're telling me Trevor Siemian to the Falcons isn't a headline big quarterback move that we have to talk about? They got a righty quarterback. Come on now.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
not a move I want. But
I can't believe he's still in the league. In terms of AJ Brown, I know we've said this a lot, and there's really nothing else to really talk about with Philly besides that. That's like the big news. I mean, me and Quinn have kind of denied it, but I have heard that like the post June 1st kind of increasing cap savings point of the league. If they were to trade him, they're going to wait till then, which I find it weird. I get they're going to save money, but to do that post draft would be a little bit odd. But maybe it depends on what they do in the draft. Like maybe the fact that they got some receivers. I know the one of them's AJ Brown's best friend would be telling. Who knows? But I still don't think it's going to happen. And it's funny. I wanted to say this as a joke with the Puka news, but for all of these diva receivers, while AJ Brown can run his mouth a lot on Twitter, he's kind of one of the more normal receivers we have in the league compared to Pickens, Ayuk, Puka. I'll take AJ Brown reading books on the sidelines and cryptic tweets every now and then, any day, over whatever the hell I'm seeing out west. So
yeah,
I'll take it.
that's a good
And
point.
he's a good family man too. He
Yeah.
just wants to get the ball.
Yeah. There was some rumors that AJ Brown was selling his Philadelphia house. And what's funny is he doesn't live in Philadelphia, he lives in a South Jersey neighborhood. So it's just like,
Look
oh
at
yeah,
you
it's all
bashing
this
the
Philly
rumors.
house.
Way to
Yeah.
bash the rumors.
Nonsense. I mean, I think it's nonsense, but yeah, I mean, the Eagles weren't going to trade AJ Brown unless they got a huge haul for him, and they could probably get a haul for him after seeing what Waddle was traded for. But if they traded him before June 1st, they would get a dead cap hit of over 43 million. The Eagles aren't doing that. We don't care about the draft and picks like that. And then that's even like more reason why we wouldn't trade him. Like, why would we trade him after the draft? Like, we don't get draft picks for this year. Teams aren't as likely to trade for him. So yeah, I don't think it's happening.
Who knows? They might fall flat on our face in June. We'll see. Also, too, Joe Flacco re-signed the Bengals, and literally in a press conference called teams stupid for not signing him, which is hilarious. That was such a funny press conference. He legit said that. I'm not kidding. I wish I had it as a clip. NHL, there is a bloodbath for the wild card spots in the Eastern Conference, which a bunch of teams are separated by like 3 or less points. My Penguins are one of them, so I'm definitely not scared to death right now. With the playoffs coming up soon, please make the playoffs. But the big one is the NBA and the expansion. Because, Quinn, you actually mentioned a certain team that's selling, Seattle. Well, guess what? There have been official talks of expansion, with the league reporting Las Vegas and the return of Seattle for potential new franchise as early as 2027. The Supersonics are coming back, and we know what has to happen. We have to have an expansion draft and send Kevin Durant to the Seattle Supersonics and have the Supersonics play the Oklahoma City Thunder in the Western Conference Finals, because that is storytelling right there. That is cinema. The team that got drafted by KD playing against the team he's most iconic for, and the team that replaced Seattle. That, please have that happen. Oh, and Vegas. You're just there. I care more about Seattle because they got completely screwed over. But Vegas makes sense too. Feels like a home run. Now bring back the Montreal Expos for baseball. But Quinn, you got any thoughts on Seattle returning to the NBA potentially, and then Vegas joining it?
Seems about right.
Good talk. But we do got to talk about baseball because Quinn and I have it on our little captions. Quinn had a great day. I did not. And mine was on national television because the Pirates got absolutely crushed by the Mets. 7-11. What a score there. I love that place. Paul Skeens didn't even last 1 inning. Gave up 5 runs, but a lot of it had to deal with O'Neal Cruz and his continued struggles at center field. Gee, who knew putting a 26-year-old that never played center field in his life before the league at center field wouldn't work? I, for the life of me, don't understand why they can't draft somebody or they can't find a center fielder, why they feel like they have to move him here. He's a shortstop or a DH. That's what he should be, but just makes no sense. They just fell in love with his arm and thought it was a good idea. I'd rather have washed Kutch out there at center field than O'Neal Cruz. But what sucks is the hitting did great. Our new acquisition, Brandon Lowe, had 2 homers. He played amazing. And O'Hearn played good as well. Cruz did okay from the bat. Ozuna kind of disappointed at the bat, but overall the pitching was bad. The bullpen that had to come in for Skeens just couldn't hold long enough. And like I said, what sucks is the bats were able to keep up. It's just the pitching was god awful. And it's opening day. It's tough to overreact, but it's concerning when that's Skeen's first outing. Maybe the WBC he shouldn't have played in. Selfishly as Pirate fan. But your Phillies are in a good mood, Quinn. You beat the Rangers on opening day 5-3. Seemed like more of a there was some decent hitting, but a little bit more of strong pitching. Did your boy Schwarber hit a home run? I didn't watch the game. Did Schwarber go dong? Oh, he went dong.
Of course
oh,
he did.
yes.
Of course, this is Schwarber we're talking about. Of course he did. Yeah, he
Boomer
got a
bust.
home run, second inning, I think, and then there was a not a grand slam, but one short. I think Bohm hit that, which
Nice.
kind of funny news about that in a moment. But yeah, we won. I was happy with it. 7-2, I believe. But yeah,
5-3.
5-3. Yeah, sorry. But pretty decent way to start off the year.
They kind of
but
almost blew in the end. They gave up 3 runs in the 9th, up 5-0.
Yeah, that wasn't great. That's garbage time, though. That's how football and baseball work, right? Yeah, see, it's fine.
No.
But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how it continues. But before I forget it, there was a whole somebody made a skit about Skeens and Aaron Judge playing in the World Baseball Classic and then coming in and
So I
being
said that.
atrocious in their first game. Yeah, so it's kind of funny to see Aaron Judge 0 for 5, 4 strikeouts.
They still crushed the Giants. It didn't matter.
Yeah, they did, but it's still kind of funny.
And also, too, what do you think about the new challenging strikes? Because we got to see it. The Pirates game, it happened when O'Neal Cruz had a ball 4, but the pitcher, they have the power to challenge it. That's crazy. They give pitchers and catchers the ability to do that. And then it turned out to be a strike. And it goes by so quick. I mean, it's going to be a tough adjustment. And I just hope it doesn't ruin the flow of a game. But I think it's good. I think it helps when egregious calls are missed or bad strikes. I don't mind it.
I like it. I think there are certainly enough times in the past where you're kind of like, what? So, yeah, I think it's a good addition. It'll be interesting to see how it adds to the flow of the game, but to be determined yet how well that'll go. But yeah.
Angel Hernandez, it'll be every fucking pitch if he's on the mound. He'll be challenged.
So Alec Bohm, Phillies guy, he is allegedly suing his parents for $3 million for mishandling his funds.
I didn't know this.
Yeah, he reports allegedly that his parents used a series of LLCs, limited liability companies, to funnel money out of his personal accounts, which they had converted to their own use. In quotes. Bohm is reportedly seeking a judgment of at least $3 million, and among other relief, an accounting of the funds in question. His parents denied the allegations through their attorney. Attorney said, "Mr. and Mrs. Bohm love their son very much. Have always acted in his best interest, both personally and professionally, and still do so to this day." They're deeply saddened by the allegations made against them in this lawsuit. Sensational false narrative painted here, which they believe entirely without merit. I mean, it's not every day you see a professional baseball player sue his parents for mismanaging his money, which is crazy.
Oh my god. Well, in Pirates news, Paul Steeds and Livy Dunn are still dating. That's all I have. I don't got any
I think I'd prefer that to that kind of news, to be honest. Yeah, so there's that. Yeah.
On that note, it is time to have some fun with some segments. Quinn and I got a couple of newer. You've seen one of them, but we got a brand new fun segment. And because I don't care, I want to hear this intro. You stink! Absolutely terrible, man. He's so stupid it hurts. And because I'm the most selfish of men, I'm going to start first. And this is the brand new segment. And again, we got to come up with names, and we will soon. But basically, it's a would you rather. But I'm going to try to make a creative name, whether it's, I was thinking like chill or cold or something to do with DQ. One day I'll come up with something, maybe in like 5 months. Anyway, and for the would you rathers, I kind of had stuff that like not everyone would ask. I have one that's like a typical one, but like some are more a little on the creative side. So, Quinn, this is going to be, well, both of us are going to answer, but mainly this is for you to answer, Quinn, because I'm excited. We might as well start dark and go with a really dark question that's kind of the typical one, which is basically, would you rather burn to death or freeze to death? And I think people that would rather burn to death should be incriminated, should be looked at, should be taken away. I think people that prefer that are crazy.
So I would probably say freeze.
Correct answer.
I will say it might be faster if you burn, both in the sense of the speed and the pain is probably going to be stronger, so you're probably going to black out and probably be faster. But I guess some people prefer a more quick death. But in terms of pain-wise, freezing would be maybe less painful. I don't know, though. It might be longer and more prolonged. But I guess, yeah, I'd rather... That's a tough question. I guess freeze. We'll go with that. I won't think about it too much.
It's way more obvious to me. Well, first of all, you did think about it a lot. But second, I just didn't think about it, just because of the pain scale. Because when you freeze, you're going to go numb, even if it's prolonged. You're just going to be numb. It's not painful. It's literally you feel nothing. Burning is like the worst feeling you'd ever have in your life. It's the equivalent of, too, like, in like a room, I'd rather wear a bunch of layers and be freezing in a room than be sweating. 100%. So that one's no question to me. This one is a fun one. This is the sports fan's nightmare. So, would you rather have to sit in the front row of your rival team's stadium wearing their full mascot costume for an entire season, or have your personal Google search history read aloud by the stadium announcer during the Super Bowl halftime show?
So, is this specifically Google or like whatever browser you use?
It says Google, but I think it'll basically just say maybe search history.
That sounds good.
I'll go with the mascot. I do not need people knowing my history in front of not just thousands of people. It's the Super Bowl halftime show. It's in front of the world. I would much rather get peckled to death or pelted by snowballs or whatever by Philly fans or whoever I go to wearing the Penguin or Pirate the Parrot or Steely McBeam. I'll do that any day of the week.
Thing is, I feel like my searches aren't like they're just gonna be generic and kind of boring. So they're gonna be like, why is somebody reading a list of like random things off of the Super Bowl halftime show?
That's the problem. I'm a little bit different.
Yeah, that's fair. Probably the search history then, I guess.
Wow.
I
You
mean,
must
it'd be
have a
fun
boring
to see the
life.
football game up close. So there's an appeal to that in that sense, but not the Cowboys.
That'd be funny. This one they labeled the career and lifestyle ick. So, would you rather always have wet socks for the rest of your life, or every time you laugh, you accidentally send a thinking of you text to the last person who ghosted you? I know, it's so right. Oh, we're laughing now. Oh no, we gotta stop laughing. No, this one, man. For one, it's so specific and two random choices that I love. That's kind of funny. The thing is, I don't even know if it's a dating life in terms of ghost or just in general, but my life sucks and it's boring. So I don't even know. I would probably go with the laugh. I'd probably go with the text. I haven't been ghosted too much, and whoever has ghosted me probably could care less. So, dude, wet socks for the rest of my life. You know how miserable that would be? How painful that would be to move around? No thanks.
I feel like that would cause certain health issues with your feet, or you just never wear socks. Move to Hawaii.
Oh, don't cheat.
Don't wear socks. That's not a bad point, actually. Just don't wear socks.
You gotta answer. Don't cheat. Don't do that. There's no technicals here.
Because it's like embarrassment isn't going to kill you or hurt you. Actually, having wet socks your entire life is definitely going to have some issues for you. So I'd say the laughing, thinking of you text.
All right, so this one is the tech and social drama. These that Gemini came up with are insane. Yes, guys, we're doing Google Gemini. We're using AI. Sorry, we're not creative.
I use Copilot when I use AI. Just to clear that up, I use Microsoft.
Gemini's better. Anyway, would you rather have to FaceTime your boss every time you go to the grocery store to show them what's in your cart, or have to narrate your entire life in the NFL color commentator voice, complete with Telestrator drawings on Windows, whenever you are in public? So would I rather FaceTime my boss to show the protein powder I'm going to get, or would I rather have to talk like Jim Nance or Tony Romo for the rest of my life? Or I rather go, oh, Jim!
I mean,
Jim, he's getting breakfast, Jim!
It'd be kind of funny using the announcer voice every time you went in public and narrating what was going on. Some people would definitely think you're
now
weird.
Here's the guy.
I mean, I'd probably do FaceTiming your boss. That's kind of funny to be like, hey, look what I'm buying. Oh, hey, cool.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. Just because, I mean, it'd be funny, but the problem is in public, and as funny as that would be to you, you don't want to mess with the wrong people. Listen, I love Impractical Jokers. That's something that would go straight out of their playbook, but if you run into the wrong person doing that, then shit can hit the fan real quick. So, my boss is a nice boss. I'll FaceTime her. It's a her. I'll FaceTime her to show off the protein powder I'm getting for the third week in a row. Why not? Anyway, the final one I have is the food and travel gamble. Although this one's more travel. For those who don't know, basically at Google Gemini, I came up with two, and I just chose out of the topics which one was the better of the two. So, would you rather always arrive at the airport 4 hours early, but your flight is always delayed. Or always arrive 5 minutes before the doors close, but you have to sprint through the terminal barefoot. Barefoot's the key. I love that was just randomly added at the end. So, it depends. Do you like being a last-minute Larry procrastinator and like the adrenaline of rushing at the last minute and you don't have to wait? And are you fine with being barefoot? Or do you want to be bored out of your mind for 4 hours and have it delayed? I think I'd rather sprint across the airport, man. I'm a procrastinator for those. You probably see it for how we post our episodes. I'm a pretty good procrastinator. But I get that weird juice and that weird feeling that I'm more productive when I'm last minute. So I feel like I'd rather sprint to the airport. And barefoot, whatever, man. I'm not that much of a germaphobe at all. Whatever. I'll clean it later. Dude, that would be so miserable. I've been at airports where flights were delayed. And it is one of the most miserable experiences ever. So, you were bored out your mind. There's not a lot to do. I'll sprint.
I don't think that being last minute is that bad. I mean, obviously we're all last minute for things, and like it's a little adrenaline boost and like stress, but like I think it's not that bad. And assuming you're not running through your TSA line because you're gonna get stopped. Just trying to run through that. So I assume it's afterwards, and
is your fluid above 3.5 ounces? Stop running. I need to see your fluids.
Yeah, you're gonna get tackled. But yeah, afterwards, yeah, I don't. That's fine. That's not that bad. I mean, the delayed flight thing is probably gonna be the most annoying because you're gonna have to wait longer. I mean, I'm sure there's things I could do in the airport while I'm waiting, but I'd still rather not have to wait 4+ hours.
I've known people that have waited like days off of delays. That is as miserable as you can get. So yeah, I think it's kind of an easy choice. For Dylan Shields and Quinn Schmeenel, have a great week, everyone. We'll see you here next week, and hope your brackets go well. Better than mine.
See you guys.